I craft everything.
Hey y'all, my name is Tasha from I Craft Everything, and today we are going to be learning how to simply layer hoodies. Beyonce said it's cuffit season, and I want y'all to stay nice and warm this fall and winter. So, as you can see, we are already on the Cricut Design Space image panel. I have selected the image that I'd like to add to Design Space and put a green box around it. I'm going to take my mouse and move it to the bottom right hand corner of the screen and click add to canvas. The image loads pretty largely, and I have already measured my hoodie space to see exactly how big I'd like my image. For reference, if you're not sure, you can Google size measurements for hoodies and t-shirts, and they will give you a pretty good idea of what size you'd like these images to be. This, of course, is personal preference. So for me, I like that sizing to be 10.5 inches long by 10.5 inches wide. I'm going to go up to the top screen and click the lock button to make changes to the size of my image. Once I have added the length and width of the image, I'm going to go ahead and click the lock screen, and it's going to go ahead and change that particular image to the size constraints that I have requested. If you look at the right hand side of your screen, it looks super intimidating because there are so many individual pieces on this item, on this image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of the colors that I like to be, and since this is a simple layering hoodie course, I'm going to go ahead and turn all of the letters one color. Since there are so many, it's just going to take a moment for me to go in and make that change. In this case, they are going to be pink. The vinyl color that I have selected is not actually going to be pink, it's actually holographic, so it's a variety of different colors. But for this particular situation, I'm going to make them pink in this lesson. So I'm going to go down to the bottom of my screen and I'm going to weld them together. You'll see a little image at the bottom, and you weld them together. That's going to make them all move as one. If you notice, all of those individual layers with the letters are gone, and you now just have this one layer. If you hide it, you'll see what I mean. They all are one individual layer. So I'm going to do the same for every piece that is going to be the same color. I'm going to go in and individually weld them together. These stars, I think I'm going to make some of them pink and some of them gray. They'll be a different color once I lay the vinyl down, but you'll see in just a minute. So I'm going to go in and change these colors and see what I like them to be. You can be creative or as creative as you want, but in this case I'm going to make them between pink and gray. I still see one yellow star, so let me go grab that and change it as well. I changed them all gray. That's a simple fix by going in and selecting the stars you want to change and changing them back. I think I like those gray, so let me select a different set of them and make those pink and see how they look. Okay, that looks so much better. Let me go grab the brown ones, and I'm also going to turn them into a gray or pink color. Your choice is really personal preference, but for this particular tutorial, I'm going to make them pink. I'll change them at the end if I choose to. As you can see, I am still going in and changing colors of things and welding them together. So my images that were on the left hand side of the screen that originally looked overwhelming have now minimized to individual layers. I'm going to try to keep this as simple as possible. So we're going to weld all of the ones that are going to be one color together, just like we did with the others, and then I'm going to do the same for this. This is not the best way to go if you're a vinyl saver like me, but since I'm teaching you how to layer simply, this is the way we're going to do it. So as you can see, it doesn't look so bad. I don't think we layered these together, so I'm going to go ahead and grab those and weld them together, and you'll see what happens when you weld them. Notice all of them have condensed into individual layers as opposed to a ton of individual layers. So how do we see what it does? You just go over and you separate them. So now they move as one, as opposed to moving like individual letters. You don't have to put these back when we send it to the mat. It'll automatically do that for you. So don't worry about that. Once you have put your welded pieces where you like them, or you've welded them all together the way you like them, you go up and you click make it in the top right hand corner. The system is going to automatically ask you what type of project or what type of mat you'll be using. Since this is a hoodie, we're going to use a for any material mat, which is your standard blue, purple, or green mat. I think I'm going to use a purple mat for this particular project, but it is personal preference, so whichever one you choose to use is okay. Based off of the stickiness of the mat, it will determine if you can use that particular vinyl with that mat. So I'm going to go ahead and click the continue button. As you can see, my items are all together. It looks like I might have missed 2 stars. You saw those gray stars back there. Don't worry, I'm going to go get them. But each individual color is already put together, so I don't have to worry about where I'm going to put these on the mat once I get ready to send it to the Cricut machine. In this particular case, all of them are already on the mat in the color that I'd like them to be. So I'm going to go in and click the mirror button to mirror each individual mat. Please keep in mind, it is really important to note that whichever mat color is the last one you touched when you get ready to cut the project, that is going to be the first one to cut on the mat. So for example, as you can see, the square around the yellow is lighter gray than the others. So when the project goes to the mat to cut, it's going to cut on whichever square is shaded the lightest gray in that moment. For right now, I'm going to continue to mirror each individual one. Normally these would all appear on one mat, but because they're separate, I'm going to go ahead and move them over to a different mat so that they all go together and I don't have to cut the individual projects separately. So I'm going to go ahead and move the current to this mat. And as you can see, my stars have appeared there, and I'm going to put them on there so they all go on one mat. The same with these gray stars here. I'm going to go ahead and move them to this particular mat. Now normally they would move as a team, but it doesn't look like I welded them together. So you can either click the cancel button and go back and weld them together, or you can just move them individually by clicking the 3 dots and moving them over to the mat that you'd like them to go to. The point of this project is to layer simply. So I'm making as least number of mats as possible. So I'm going to go back through and double check to make sure that everything is mirrored. Better safe than sorry. I have lost thousands of dollars by failing to mirror projects and lost tons of vinyl. So it's important to double check that all of your layers are mirrored, because when you lay it down, it's going to lay the correct way, but you have to cut it backwards. So as you can see, I have mirrored all of my projects. I even did the ones that I moved the images from the mat from, but you don't have to do that. It's going to disappear regardless. So once you get done with that, you go ahead and click continue, and it's going to load to your Cricut mat, and then it'll be time to cut. Let's go.
Go ahead and take your HTV and lay it shiny side down on the Cricut mat of your choice. Be sure to press all the bubbles out. You can use a squeegee tool, you can use a credit card, or you can simply use your hand. Place the loaded mat between the 2 grooves on the Cricut machine and press the blinking arrow button. This will start the process of cutting once you hit the blinking C. The machine is going to start cutting your vinyl, and you'll repeat this process until you've cut all the colors in your vinyl. Just make sure to remember that whatever color the light gray box is on the Cricut design space is the box that it's going to start cutting. So be sure to load the correct color vinyl into the mat. As you can see, the machine went ahead and cut out the base part of my design. So I'm going to take my next sheet of vinyl and lay it shiny side down. For the holographic vinyl, that means the pretty side is down and the dull side is face up on the Cricut mat. You'll repeat the previous process over and over again until you have cut out all of the layers. You'll see me run through it, but you can go ahead and fast forward through this video to get to the next section if you like. In the meantime, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like or share this video to make sure other people have an opportunity to see it as well. Literally, layering is just the trial and error process of repeating it over and over again. So once you've done this a few times, you'll be a master of it. Don't worry. Be sure to line your material in between the sticky part of the mat. Make sure it's as straight as possible. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it does have to have enough vinyl in the correct spaces in order to make sure the machine cuts the correct stuff, if that makes sense. Now that you have all of your layers successfully cut with the Cricut machine, it's time to start weeding. This part can be soothing and therapeutic if you enjoy it, but it can also be a pain in the tail if you're not used to it. So go ahead and peel back the corner of the HTV with the design on it. I like to peel it back and start a big peel. And also, I like to check and make sure that I have saved all of the vinyl that I can save. These pieces will tend to come in handy later when you have small projects and don't want to take a big piece of vinyl. So go ahead and peel the vinyl off to reveal your design. In this case, the holographic makes it really, really challenging to see the design below it or even cut inside. So you kind of have to feel around to feel the texture of the paper to see if it has been cut. So go ahead and do that. As you can see, I'm smoothing out some of the bubbles here so that when it lays, it will lay flat. But this is the fun part, y'all. So enjoy. I'm just going to let the video roll while you watch me weed the project. Go ahead and fast forward this video if you're already familiar with weeding your HTV, or if you don't want to watch me weed. It's a pretty simple process. You just stick your weeder tool in the places that you need to help you get it. You can also try folding the HTV back and it'll reveal the individual places that you weed, and you just pull out the spaces that need to be pulled. But if you're already familiar, go ahead and fast forward to the next step because it can take some time to weed. Like I said, it can either be therapeutic or a pain in the whoo.
I can't even see me.
We are almost through weeding this, guys. As you can tell with the design that has 6 or 7 layers, it can take a minute to go through the weeding process, but nonetheless, we're almost there. Just be sure to put your pieces that you weed to the side because you definitely don't want them to accidentally stick to your project while you're using your heat press. That sucks. Go ahead and lay your hoodie on a flat surface with a towel underneath and take your measuring or centering ruler if you have one and place that on the collar of your design. Up next, you're going to take the base of your design and lay it flat onto your hoodie. This is the piece that has all of the pieces that goes inside of it. You can tell it because it's probably the biggest piece of your design. So go ahead and lay it flat and make sure it's centered exactly where you'd like it to be, because once you press it down, it's no picking it up. Take your cloth or pressing towel and put it on top of your hoodie. Take your Cricut Easy Press and go ahead and put the individual heat in the first section of your design. I'm using a medium sized heat press, but you can use a bigger one, a smaller one, or an iron, whichever you choose. Just make sure your heat settings match the type of vinyl you'll be using. You can locate the heat settings from the manufacturer of your vinyl. You can also Google the most used heat temperatures if you choose to do that as well. Because my heat press is not quite as big as my design, I'm going to go ahead and move the heat press around in individual places to make sure that the heat is spread throughout the design. This is going to be important when you get ready to pick your design up because you want to make sure that each part has been pressed and laid on the hoodie. You'll see what I mean later. Go ahead and remove the pressing cloth to reveal the design. I'm not sure if your HTV is going to be a hot press or a cool press. Please check the instructions to see. But in this case, it's a hot peel, so I can go ahead and peel off. I like to press the design down as I pull the clear film off of the hoodie. You can tell that you've pressed this perfectly because the heat HTV will not pull up individual pieces. And once it's done, you'll see that it's stuck to your hoodie. All right, y'all, it is time to start the layering process. So go ahead and take your other pieces and get ready to plug them inside of the puzzle. This particular one is a little bit tricky. Sometimes it'll let you put it all in there symmetrically, and sometimes you'll have to cut the individual pieces to put them in the hole properly. If you notice, I forgot to weed part of that O, so I'm going to take this up and weed it. But I like to look at it to make sure that I have successfully weeded out all of the individual pieces because, again, once you've heat pressed this on, it's over. You can't pull it back up. So go ahead and double check to make sure it looks okay. Take your pressing cloth and put it on top of your HTV and go ahead and start the pressing process. You'll repeat the same steps as last time, but you just have to make sure that the HTV is exactly where you want it inside of the puzzle, because once you put it down, it is very difficult, if at all possible, to get it back up. Because the design has holographic vinyl, I'm going to apply a little bit more heat just to make sure it's down. But once you've gotten it successfully done, you can go ahead and start the process for peeling up the clear film. This should leave the vinyl that you've heat pressed on the hoodie. It's coming together nicely, right? It's starting to look like some, y'all. Okay, y'all, so you see that T as I was pulling it up, it didn't heat press correctly. So I'm going to have to leave it down. I'm going to go ahead and cut the clear film off for the part that did lay successfully. And for the other part, I'm going to leave that down. It can be a little bit tricky when you're trying to lay HTV, especially holographic, because if you don't heat that heat transfer vinyl successfully all the way around, it may give you a hard time. But don't worry, y'all. I'm going to go back and get it. Right now, I'm just peeling up the individual pieces of the HTV that did work. So you can go ahead and peel yours off too. Hopefully, it all pressed together. If you notice it starting to come up in certain places, just remember to stop. Put the transparent paper back down on top of it and press it again for a couple more seconds. All it needs is a little bit more heat. But for the most part, it should go ahead and peel up easily. Go ahead and start layering the additional pieces of your puzzle together inside of your design. Make sure that the lines of your design fill in exactly in order to make sure it looks correct. Make sure you don't see any color places from the hoodie itself. If you do, then you may need to move your heat transfer vinyl to the left or to the right just a little bit to make sure that it gets exactly in those spots. The goal is to make this puzzle put together flawlessly. Don't forget to check the temperature. Each type of HTV has a different temperature setting. So make sure you adjust that on your heat press, easy press, or iron as you go. And if you're using an iron, here's an extra tip. Make sure you pour the water out and don't use steam. That's going to be a really important piece to the puzzle. Sorry I didn't mention that to you before, but just make sure that you're using a dry iron setting.
I can't even see me.
Okay, this is coming together nicely. All I have to do is plug in a few more pieces and we are almost done. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pull up the brown part. As I told you before, I like to walk my fingers across it just to make sure the HTV stays put and pull gently to reveal the HTV finished. All right, y'all, we are at the home stretch. Go ahead and plug those other little pieces in. It's really important not to put any of the clear transfer film underneath any of the HTV. This will cause you to heat transfer the wrong thing. So just be sure that your HTV lays directly on the fabric of the item that you are trying to accomplish. In this case, it's a hoodie. So all my HTV needs to touch the hoodie directly and not another piece of clear film transfer tape. It's a mess if y'all do it the other way. I've done it before, so just please make sure each individual piece touches the hoodie directly.
I can't even see me.
Go ahead and pull up the individual clear layers off the hoodie and run your fingers across it just to make sure you didn't miss anything. And voila, we have simply layered this hoodie. Isn't it beautiful? I can't wait to see your projects. Be sure to tag iCraft Everything. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share our channel. I can't wait to craft with you again. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really enjoyed working on this project with you, and I hope you had fun with me too. I can't wait to see you next time. Bye, guys.